executive, executive, echo, executive, executive, echo, executive, executive, echo, executive, executive, echo.
Welcome again to Executive Echo, whereby today we are hosting Mis Sabra, and we are going to talk more about storytelling and the authentication for the brand. Welcome to Executive Echo.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so since maybe the audience was like, oh, Mis Sabra, who is she? Where is she coming from? What kind of things are you doing right now? And what is in for the future? Because mostly for this program, it's more about to talk with executives, entrepreneur, and business people about what is it hold for the future based on the things which they do. And since today we are talking more about storytelling for their brand, for their business, whereby you are more an expert into it, we want to take them through. But before that, who is Sabra?
Thank you very much for having me. So my name is Sabra Saleh, and I'm a communication professional for the last 20-something years.
Yeah.
I'm a communication management professional certified, so globally by a global board. And I've done this straight from university. I studied communications and public relations, and I've practiced communications and public relations through various stages. So I started my career back in 2001, 2000, in the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
So I first started with an agency, Weber Shandwick, and it was a multinational agency which allowed me as a young PR professional to really work with different brands. I supported communication and public relations for aviation, for retail, shopping malls, for education institutes, for hospitals, healthcare, finance. So that really gave me a foundation of how do we communicate different brands across different industries. Once I've done that for about 8 to 9 years, I decided to move to the corporate world. And I was a PR manager for a real estate developer in Dubai. I did that for some time. It gave me a good understanding of what it took to be a public relations manager in an internal position. So because at the agency you can do a lot of things, but at the end of the day your client decides what goes. But on an 100%. On an internal capacity, you get to implement your ideas with the support of your boss and your executives. So that was a great experience for me. From that experience, I moved to international nonprofit, and I moved to Senegal. I did that for another few years, which was also another great exposure for me, because now I got to learn development communication and how to tell stories and communicate with impact. So that was, it was all intentional. My progress through the different stages of my career was all intentional. I knew I wanted to be a consultant towards the end of my career. So I wanted to make sure that I did it across different areas, different sectors, so that I am more equipped with the right tools to share with the clients that I work with. And from Senegal, I moved to Canada. And I worked in government, municipal institutions. I worked for utilities and oil and gas. So that also gave me an opportunity not only to do communications externally for campaigns, but also internally. So supporting the internal communication strategy, crisis communication, that's also some of the things that I'm quite passionate about and I worked on. So that's my career journey in a nutshell. And now I'm back home. I'm back in Dar es Salaam. And I'm really passionate about sharing the knowledge that I have acquired and learning from people here at home and what challenges they face. In terms of communication, brand storytelling, and so on. So
Yeah, exactly, and of course we are going to unpack that more, especially to invite you here. It's because we want to share that knowledge, the global perspective to how are we going to localize and take back again to the global landscape. Because right now with the communication we have so many channels. That means back in the days when you talk and you put your brand, it might be maybe very in a local way. But now with digital, which means we are going to have this discussion, but someone in Canada, they're going to have an access and listen to it. Someone in US, someone in wherever, even if you are maybe in another planet, which is really key. But most of the people, first of all, when we talk about storytelling, they will ask themselves, so communication, what is it? What is communication? Because we have internal communication and external communication. But we start with the general. What is communication, either for the brand or for the people?
So communication is really how we present ourselves, right? So how do we present ourselves to the people we are communicating with?
Yeah.
How do we present our brands and our companies and our organizations, or maybe our art and skill to the people that we're communicating with, in the simplest possible way?
Yeah.
So that the message is delivered in the way that the people want to receive it.
Yeah.
And I always say, with an organization, it starts internally.
100%.
Do your people, do your employees understand your brand?
Yeah.
Do they understand what it stands for? Do they understand the values, the mission? How often are you communicating this with your employees?
Yeah.
When you develop stories, it starts internally. Like, who are you as a company? Who are your people? You know, what makes you who you are? I think once internally it's understood where the brand, what the brand is, where the company is going, the employees feel ownership.
Yeah.
They feel like they're a part of this group, a part of this company. They become your first brand ambassadors.
I want to say that, yeah. Very, very important, yeah.
Exactly. So as a company, you could take billboards all across Dar es Salaam and talk about how great you are. But if your employees have nothing good to say about your brand, that's a reputational risk.
Yeah.
So let's work first with our internal communications, build our brands, make sure our people that work on the brand understand it, nurture it, and carry it forward as ambassadors, and that will effectively translate to how the external brand is perceived and reflected. So that's really important. Internal first, and then that's kind of carries on to externally. Because even if you look at something as simple as customer service, right? If your customer service representatives are well informed about your brand and what you stand for, they can relay that in their interactions with customers. And if they're happy as employees, it will even boost their motivation to communicate the brand in the right way. And also, of course, making sure that when you communicate with the external audience, all these brand values are reflected. So even if you want to say, we take care of our people, that's telling the audience that you're a good company to work for.
Yeah.
So it's very important.
Yeah, and that is very key. So we always, as an executive, have biggest question, because we have customers to save, we have our internal people to save, and we have our stakeholders to save. But of course, our internal people, they also really need to understand where the company is growing or where the company is going, because it's part of for the customer to understand. So the biggest question, do you think is it customer first or employees first? Who comes first? Because they always say sometimes also, if you're not taking care of your customer, the customer will fire everyone in the company. But if you're not taking care of the people internally, they will not going to make the customer happy. So who comes first?
I think it's really an important relationship that has to start from within. So when we talk about our employees, not only taking care of them, but they have to be well trained.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it only doesn't end with, here is the product, this is what you need to know about it, please share this information with our customer.
Yeah.
Right? But what else are you doing as a company to make that employee happy? What do your benefits look like? Are you doing regular training? As managers or supervisors, are you having meetings on a regular so that you can continuously update your employee on the product, on the service, so that they feel like they're well supported? An employee, I think the biggest challenge is they want to feel supported by their management.
100%.
And by their supervisors. They want to know what's happening. I mean, you don't want to share big company news with the public before you share it with the employees. Right?
That's a big point, yeah.
When you do something like that, they feel like, oh, we are not important enough. I'm reading about this in the news. My boss didn't tell me. So no, it's really a holistic. What benefits are you giving your employees? Again, every company is different based on their budget and what they're able to offer. But things like healthcare benefits, workplace policies, being against workplace harassment and bullying, being a fair employer, encouragement, right? Training, team building. These are all important things for employees to feel like they're well taken care of, they're supported, they're trained, so that when it's time to meet with the customer, they're coming from a good place. And they're knowledgeable, right? They're knowledgeable about the product. And at the same time, it's about knowing your customers, right? We have to know what kind of customers are we dealing with? What do they need to know from us? What kind of information should we be sharing with them? You know, are we keeping a regular update with our products and services? When something changes, are we informing our customers? You know, or are they going to wake up and be surprised that we did and we didn't communicate it? So I think the well-trained, well-taken care of employees will eventually be good with the customers, and the customer would be happy. But that's also a different group that has to be taken care of in terms of how they would like to approach their personalities, their characteristics, and so on. It's really important. So I think they go interrelated. I don't think there's a focus more on one before the other. But before you put someone out there to deal with customers, they have to be in a good place.
Yeah, which I think you have unpacked very well. And for executive and managers, it's all about how to unpack the vision and the goal for the company. Because every company, I believe they're solving a certain challenge to the customer. That is to say, the internal team really need to understand that and they need to live that. So it's for internal, it's both the communication and the culture. So the communication and culture building, based on your experience now, what are the do and don'ts, or maybe what has been the past challenge in terms of dealing with the internal communication and culture building for the teams to really understand? If you have an example as well.
Oh, absolutely. Internally, at the end of the day, the culture of the company starts from our managers. The head of the company. The tone you set for your company will reflect how other managers, supervisors will be, all the way to the employees. So that tone has to be set in a very careful way. So I'll give you an example. One of the organizations I worked for, the employees were really afraid of the CEO. They didn't have a reason why they were afraid of the CEO. But if the CEO was in the elevator, nobody would go in the elevator with him. And nobody would dare go near his office. But me, as a public relations and communications person, I had access to the CEO because we engaged with him through our strategies, and we engaged with him through interviews and media interviews. And so the CEO I knew is not the CEO that other employees knew. So I really was disturbed by, why are they nervous? You know, why are they afraid to approach this very gentle, kind human being that they see intimidating? And sometimes that comes from their direct managers. If your direct manager is blocking access to the CEO, it creates that fear culture, that I am not able to reach this person, he's too important.
100%.
He's too high profile, right? Whereas if the CEO actually has an open door policy, it's an advantage. Because he also gets to know the people that work for him. So one of the things, we worked with the marketing manager at the time, and we decided to have an interactive theatrical game night. Where we would group different employees with different senior executives in different teams. So we grouped the CEO with people from different departments, the CFO with people from different departments, and the executive in HR and marketing and so on. Employees walked in; they were nervous, right, and they didn't know what we had planned for them. But by halfway through the night, all the guards were down. You could not tell who was the executive and who was the supervisor and who was the professional working in HR. It really broke the ice.
Yeah. But now, since we are talking about communication, do you think that can because maybe the senior manager with the team, they don't want the team to reach into the executives because like, okay, why are you jumping me? So it's like a flow of communication. It's need to pass through me first before it's go here. And I think maybe that's what created fear. So how do we balance that communication?
Yes, so I think it's not, it shouldn't be based on the work that we're doing. Of course, if you're doing a piece of work, share it with your supervisor. That's maybe not likely something that you're going to send directly to the CEO.
Yeah.
However, if there's a team meeting, right, and your CEO is a part of that team meeting, encourage your employees to ask questions, right? Encourage your employees to have conversations. As an employee, just engaging with the CEO on the day-to-day basis, maybe it's about photography, maybe it's about sailing, I don't know, maybe it's about art. It's engaging on a human level.
Yeah.
It's not engagement on a day-to-day work level, right? So the day-to-day work level, yes, that goes through your supervisor. You have steps you have to follow. That's clear. But I think sometimes people fear that friendliness. We don't need you to be too friendly with the executive team.
Yes.
You haven't reached that level, or not including people in certain meetings. So, for example, if you're having an issue that you need to solve, communication issue, and the CEO needs to be involved, a few other managers need to be involved, and the person working on that project is your subordinate in your team. Those people have to be invited at that meeting, because some questions, maybe as a supervisor, you will not be able to answer.
Yeah.
So why not give your employee the platform to share the ins and outs of the project so that the solution can be found?
Yeah.
Right? So it's these opportunities where we value what you're doing. You're the expert in this department. We have a meeting with our CEO. Please join us.
Yeah.
You have that conversation. He's not making or she's not making any decisions. But they feel, as an employee, you feel valued. You are there doing the work, but decisions are being made without your knowledge.
Yeah.
And maybe the wrong decisions are being made.
Yeah, without the contribution.
Without your contribution, yes. So I think it's about to what extent are we involving our teams in some of these management meetings.
Yeah.
It's about brainstorming, it's about discussion, it's about solving issues, and it's about friendly interaction. But I mean, the day-to-day, it's up to the managers to decide.
Yeah. And those internal conversations are really key, even for us, the way we are doing it. And they are very important because it's also part of the teams as an employee career growth.
Yes.
Because most of the young and the junior, they don't know exactly where they can go or what kind of the things they can contribute.
Yes.
But on the executive level, when you are sitting with them, even if someone asks question or they contribute in something, okay, I think based on this openness and this kind of knowledge, this person should go here.
Yes.
Based on our company growth.
Yes.
And that is to say, most of the young employees and the junior, the biggest question is it the company which give people the career growth path, or you should have your own and then you look into the company's direction in terms of the vision? Who gives the direction?
I think it has to be both ways, right? So you as an individual, you have to have your career path on what it is that you want to do, and then maybe see if your company's path for you is aligned, and where can you make some changes if it's not completely aligned. But I think it has to be both ways. Sometimes some companies don't have these direct formal paths for career growth.
Yeah.
Right? Some companies have a policy where if, let's say, they're working in 3 different segments, they make sure that their employees rotate in all the 3 different departments for a better understanding of the company's operations.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's formal, sometimes it's not formal. But I think, again, sharing what your company stands for